Well, hey, everybody. This is Dear Mama Sal, and we are live on a Sunday afternoon, which means we're here talking about coping with stress. And I thought that it would be a really nice idea for you to see where I de stress, which is here in Confetti Corner, otherwise known as my craft room. A very warm welcome. Hi there, Jeannie. Good to see you. And it's a, yeah. Um, it's nice to hear that you've got good air conditioner there in Maine. Yeah, it's going to be very hot here today as well. I can't quite remember how hot it's going to be, but we're going to be up in the 90s again this week. So I agree with you. It's really nice to be able to have air conditioning. So what I wanted to show you is how I manage to keep myself de-stressed and how I keep on learning, and that really is the focus. And the quotes I'm going to bring you about today are about learning, but and teaching ourselves stuff, right? Because it's really important to be a lifelong learner. And I talk about it a lot, but I do believe that it has kept me not only knowledgeable, but also has kept me alive in terms of my brain working and everything else. Jody, very warm hello to you as well. And for those of you who don't know, Jody is our admin. And I want to start with a quote that says, "The expert in anything was once a beginner." And I think what happens is that everybody sees stuff um, that other people are doing, and you go, "Oh, they're so good at that. I could never be that good at it." Well, are you prepared to put the time in that they did? Whether it's become a cook or a chef, or whether you want to, you know, do whatever in your life, are you prepared to put in the time and effort that it takes? And I think it frustrates me when I hear people say, "Oh, you are so talented." And I go, they seem to think I was born like this. It's just like, really? And I don't know about you guys, but that sort of is like, yeah, the reason I'm talented is I spend a lot of time learning things. All right, so I don't believe there are any birthdays this week. I know we got some coming up next week, and I don't believe there are any anniversaries that we need to celebrate. So if we have any, please let me know. If you're a regular and there's birthday or an anniversary of some sort that's important to you, please let us know because it isn't in the database yet. All right, and I want to just say that I showed you all the potatoes that came out of my garden, the new potatoes that came out of my garden this week. And after the broadcast, I treated myself to new potatoes and homemade butter. And I want to tell you that it was just wonderful. And I don't get to eat potatoes very often, nor do I, normally slather them with butter. But there's something about new potatoes that just is magic. But here is the good news in terms of learning. You will remember that my trick, I don't have it here, but my trick is that every month, I take one grape tomato, like this one, right? And I cut it through across the center, and I put the two halves down into earth. Really difficult. And hopefully, that they will grow. I got two tomatoes this week, yesterday, my first two. So how many of you know that they're going to taste wonderful? And I don't mind wasting them right now because it's not a waste. Mm. I know exactly how they were grown. No additives, no nasties on them, just rich soil and a lot of TLC. So how perfect was that? And you all know it's taken me some time to learn the art. And I'm trying to get into the position where I can actually grow my own tomatoes all year long. And that's why I'm learning the hydroponic side of it as well. So I will keep updating you, but it was just an incredible week. I've been nurturing those tomatoes since March, I think. So April, May, June, July, August, right? 5 months it's taken to go from little seedling that I turn it upside down, let the seedlings grow, and then to take those seedlings and get them to grow bigger. That's the difficult bit. And then, to actually watch them grow up. And 5 months later. And it was lovely as well. I was talking to Benji this week and in fact yesterday. And one of the things, of course, that we talk a lot about are our gardens. And he obviously has been perfecting this art for a long time. And I said, no, I don't mind. I got to show you my first 2 tomatoes that are just ripening on the vine. And he understood how happy I was about that. And then, of course, I showed him my potatoes, and he said, potatoes? And I said, yeah, I grew my own potatoes. I'm so excited. But as some of you know, a lot of my creativity and a lot of my work happens here in Confetti Corner. And the reason I wanted to talk to you about Confetti Corner is because I've just done a spring clean. You'll see the very top area there that I've now put product up there. Well, it didn't look like that yesterday. And in fact, you probably want to see the before, right? Because you're like that. And you remember I said every week I'm trying to do one bit of spring cleaning. So what I did was I took everything that was on the top there and decided I was not going to put it back. Why? Let me show you. All that clutter was on top. Baskets and dividers and all, it was just my sort of catch-all for things I didn't know where to put. So they're not going back there. And where they are now is the other side of my craft room. And they're there because I know I will hate to see a mess there. So every day I will tidy it up a little bit. By this time next week, it'll all be gone into the back room. But I thought what I would do today is to talk to you a little bit about how I develop plans about what I'm going to do. And the reason I say that is because I don't do things from 0 to 60, as some of you seem to think. I literally do things one step at a time in almost everything. And you can see there's all sorts of crud here. Part of it's because I want to show you stuff. But next week I will show you how I'm trying to organize this bit. But today I wanted to show you how I've been organizing my life. Now, I've said before that one of the most important lessons to learn is, number one, obviously downsize, and I'm still working on that. Then contain. And whatever you can contain, then organize it in good ways. All right. So I've got, as you can see, a lot of cubies here. All right. And these cubies hold various things. Now, my long-term plan, that you're the first to know, my long-term plan is to have each of these as cubies for product. All right. At the moment, I don't need that. I've just got some product up the top, and I've got other ways of storing the product, and I'm going to show you in a second. But my ultimate goal is that if anybody orders, those deer up there, right there, all right, those deer, that I will go to the deer area and pull out a box and be able to pull them out. But, that's the long-term plan. At the moment, I've got them in other ways. Now, how many of you can see this area here? It's difficult to do backwards. How about this area here? Anybody want to know what that's all about? This was one of the brightest ideas I had a long time ago, and I've been keeping to it as much as I can. And that is that I never throw away my Kleenex boxes or any other box about that size. All right. What I do is I paint them, and then I use them to store little things. For example, on some of these boxes, we've got raffia, we've got Swiffers, we've got extension cords, bow makers, tissue, hand towels, tea lights. You know, you name it, they're all in little, it looks like custom storage, doesn't it, Jody? Well, let me show you what it really is, right? Kleenex box, but all I did was paint the front and 1 inch along the side and the bottom, okay? This box here is I think that is a, what do you call it? Stuffing, you know, a Christmas stuffing box. The ones at the bottom, those bigger ones, are envelope boxes. That's really smart. Hi there. How now? What? Hi, Will. Hi. Welcome, Chills. 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 Is that the name? Hi, welcome, Chills. Okay. Hi, welcome, Chills. I got there eventually. I think it's what it is. Anyway, but I thought you guys would like to see that I didn't paint it all. Now, how do you get the gray? You know, I do a lot of art. Well, used to. I'm still waiting to get back to that, and I will, you know, stuff like this. But what I found out is when you mix all sorts of paint together, it becomes gray. If you go to your recycling depot, they will have cans upon cans of gray. Why? They take all the little bits of paint and they put it all into a big tub and they mix it all up and it becomes gray. So if ever you want free paint to repaint your place, gray is a great color. And you can do that for next to nothing from your local recycling place. Now, I happen to be an artist, so therefore I've got a lot of paint. So I thought I'd show you that. And it's really simple, right? And yet it looks like it's made to measure, as you say. And I've got more that I'm working with at the moment, but I just haven't had time to paint them yet. Oh, well, actually, this one's painted, so I could put this on the other side. It can stay there for now. Anyway, but what I do is I got scraps of paper, of which I've got lots. You know, and I just make little containers. I could have put it on that side, and I will do afterwards, like that. Or, yeah, here's another one that I haven't painted yet, right? But all I've done is take a scrap of paper and some pretty shears. I invest in a pair of shears like this, okay? And then all you do is, you've probably got more paper around your house than you need. And what I do, okay, is I just literally take a scrap of paper like this and I make my own labels. Okay. All right. So Jody's saying the whole area looks great, very calming, and everything has its place. Jody, one of the things that used to fascinate me when I saw people online who were crafty was how organized they were. And I thought, yeah, never am I going to do that. So I'd like to explain to you why, if you are doing something crafty, you have to be organized. All right. And that's what I want to show you. I think you all know that the one card, that one, okay? Okay, this one card takes 17 different bits of paper, all right? Now, can you imagine that I'm making 6 of these at a time? How many bits of paper will I have on my desk? And obviously, that is not a good idea. So what I wanted to show you is this week I've been making 6 of these. And I want to show you how I managed to contain everything. Because, you know, if you Yeah, it is chaotic, Jody. So the first thing I learned to do is to have a bag, right? I want to tell you, Ziploc bags are my new best friend. I have a bag per card, all right? So this is my Three Wise Men bag, and inside, as I cut, I contain. So let's have a look here. These are some of the cuts, all right? You've got it's easier if I do it at the same time, right? All right, you see the star there? It actually starts like this. And then it gets two bits back and front on it, and it ends up looking like this. So it's a separate piece all on its own. But that one piece contains 1, 2, 3, 4 different elements, all right? So as I'm cutting, I put them into different places. These aren't all just that, but you can see how important that is, all right? That you don't get overwhelmed, right? So that's one bag in there that I've got. And when I cut the next thing, whatever it might be, all right, then I contain them, right? That's the second part of that. Hang on. That's the second part of the houses there at the bottom. These are the Three Wise Men. There are two parts to it, right? The front part has this white bit on it at the bottom. That's that one. And there's a much bigger one that goes all the way along. But that one, the long one, has these tiny little bits on it. And then you have these bits as well. And then this takes two different bits. So you can see that creating it is a logistical nightmare if you're not organized. So here's, by the way, does this interest you guys? How it all comes together? Because I thought you'd like to see how necessity created the system to manage it all right? So you understand this is nice, easy, tidy, and yet there's so many different bits in it. All right, let me see if I've got another one here, another pouch. I think I do. Yeah, okay, this is a pouch holding the cards. There are a couple of them in there, ready to go. So these are what I call the extras that are sitting in there, right? But when I want to work on Three Wise Men, I pick up the whole thing. Now then, it goes from there. Oh, here's another one. Oh yeah, that's the card that has the two bits on it. So put that one back in. Otherwise, I'll have chaos. And the fact that it's all contained and in plastic, it slides in easily. Jody's saying, I find it inspiring and encouraging. I can apply these ideas to all of my sewing notions. Yes. And Jeannie's saying, yes, this needs good organizational skills. It really does. Wait until you see the next bit. So now the next bit is I've cut it all out, all right, and I've got it all in those little contained pieces, but now I've got to put it together. And what I found works really well is that I do it in other plastic bags, right? So each card has its own plastic bag. Oh, these are envelopes that I'm doing. They're not for that card. They're for another project. But I found that I glue really well at night when I'm binge watching, right? Because it's like, I know how to do it. I don't need a lot of huge concentration on the television, right? You can hear what's going on. So I use my binge time now to actually glue things. So this is these are really cute envelopes, right? That go with certain cards, right? But you can see they need to be glued. So handmade envelopes. I love making them. I don't know why. I really do. I just think they look so pretty. All right, let me put that down for a second. All right, so in here, this needs to be glued. All right, so this one's nearly finished. I think it's probably in there for a final quality control. How many of you can understand that you can do a quality control on the deer, for example? No, or the houses, eh? You can do a quality control on here 3 times, and then the very last time you'll find there's the tiniest bit that you missed, right? And what amazes me is how many times I missed just a little bit. And I literally, every time I touch a card, I'm checking to see, did I miss anything? And I cannot tell you how many times I get to the final card and I'm about to do something with it, and I find I missed one of these little holes in the deer. But now I know what to look for, all right? So it's like I need to do about 5 different levels of quality control to get it there. As you can imagine, the same thing with these little houses, all right? You think you've got all the bits out, but then the ones that seem, every now and then I'll miss a tiny little one of these. Get my hand in there so I can't see through it, but I'll miss one of these tiny little holes here. And so, as I said, I now know what to look for, and that's important. So here we go. So this is one card, all right? And I just want to see, normally it has a piece of paper in there that says I have forgotten something, but this one doesn't have any bits of paper left. I thought I'd try a red one. That's what I wanted to show you. You remember I was saying that I end up with lots of little bits of paper, and I've got those being contained in different ways as well. And one of the ways that I thought about using the paper was to make little to make little labels for people. All right. And then this week, I don't think I've shown you this yet, but I might have done. If I have, forgive me. But this week I also came up with a thank you card. Okay, can you see that? And by the way, Gina, your order does not have this thank you card in it because I came up with it after I sent it. So, and I thought that was a really good use of paper as well. All right, so this one now has all the bits, but it's also got the thank you card. And what I did was I just hung it on the star. What do you think? Nice touch? And what I thought I might do is even put a to and from card in there so people could hang it on there like that. And then they wouldn't need to sign the card. It could stay as decoration as it is. So that's what I was thinking. So each card has its own bag, right? And once it's gone through all the different checks, then I will put it in with the finished ones. So here are some of the finished ones that I've got. These are the glitter trees and the glitter deer and the plain deer, plain trees. Hang on a second. Yep. So we've got some glitter and some glitter. Those are plain. All right, so, but you can see, again, I've got them contained. Why? Once I've finished them, I want them to stay clean and pristine, and they may stay for a while. So having them in plastic is a really good way to make sure they don't get dust or messed up at all. All right, so then let's take the next bag out of here. And the bag is called glue. Why? Because look at the little bits in there. So I've got all the little bits in there, but now I need to put it together. Make sense? So that bag hopefully has got all the bits. But occasionally I get to the end, as I did with this one, and I got to the end of doing it, and I found there was one little bit of blue tab missing. And there I found it eventually. So that's going to go on tonight, right? And then this one's got all the bits individually put in there, so I can put it together. Same with this one, right? So this is the only way I found to do it in a way that keeps it all tidy. Because if it's not tidy, you're going to be you're going to be what do you call it? Creasing stuff you don't want to crease accidentally. You know, you're going to lose bits, as I did with that. So then I said, no, that doesn't work. What do I need to do? So I invested in some plastic bags and said, now I can keep it all organized. Not because I want to be organized, it's because I have to be. Does that make sense? So then this goes with me tonight. Where's that container I had it in? There we go. And I've got 2 lots of glue. I've got the strips of glue here, and here I've got my tacky glue, which I keep upside down so that it's always at the bottom. And then when I want to use it, I just remove the cap and the glue is already ready to use. Okay. Pretty easy. However, a lot more organization is needed. And then up here, I have a box, which is, these are nearly ready to go. These are deer this is a deer that I was cutting. But as you can see, it needs trimming, right? It needs gluing. And I glued it once, but it didn't glue well. So I got to re-glue it, which is difficult. And then, it's got a goober on it as well. So one of 2 things, either that cleans up or it goes in the trash. So this one is a quality control issue. I didn't like the way that you can still see a tiny bit of red on the corner there. So that's going to get tidied up. So this is my sort of didn't pass quality control, give it another look box. And I try and visit that every day. Now then. But it also is a place where I get inspired. It's my what if place, because as I'm doing other things, you understand my mind is already creative. And so today, when I was busy just getting ready for the broadcast, I wanted to show you, right? This is the Santa that you know, the little advent calendar that sits like this, okay? And this is how I contain it. I contain it like this. So I've got a little picture here, what it's meant to look like. And then inside, now these are photo album pages, all right? Can you see I've got a lot of little bits, and sometimes they're contained within those sections as well, because these little bits are so easy to lose. So there are some numbers here. Okay, there's numbers that are already cut, ready to go in. And because I cut in more than one at a time, you know, I end up with a couple of bits left over of this, or a couple of bits of the black that are left over that are cut. So this is how I keep them. Yeah, they are photo pages, and I have different sorts of photo pages as well. The small stuff goes in these, But then I also have document pages. I use these as well, Jody, for the bigger bits. Right? And between the two, it really works very well. This is Santa. All right. What have I got here? Oh, this is where I'm doing different glue experiments. All right. Wanted to see how long the glue lasts on here. And then I wanted to see, before I started using it in sensitive areas, the clear Gorilla Glue, does it really dry clear? And it does. It didn't discolor at all. So, you know, that's what have this bag for, because, you know, you start using different glues for different reasons. All right. I've got spray-on glue, and I've got tacky glue, and the whole of this basket back here is filled with double-sided. Then there are rolls of double-sided. That's double-sided tape. Then you've got these sort of stick-on things, right? So anything that's tacky, if you like, glue-like, it goes in this basket. It's, you know, so it's one basket, and it's right next to me because I'm using it every day. All right. But here it is, nicely contained, and it sits in a useful place for me. Okay, now here's where the inspiration came in. I was looking at this, and then I thought, what if? And I was thinking, what if, hold on a second. And this is why I love being creative, because one thing always brings up the next thing. I was thinking, what if I had one like this, okay, which had the DearMamaSal banner on it, and then one half was the date, and the other half had different quotes for the day, you know, or tips of the day. But I was thinking that would actually be quite a nice little thing. I hope I drew that so you can see it. So one half of it would be the date that you could change every day. And then, you know, affirmations on the other side. You know what I mean? You could just keep changing the affirmations as you wanted to. So I thought, yeah, that's not a bad idea. I'm going to play with it. Now, how long will it take to design it and get it ready? A long time. But it's a good idea. And I like good ideas. And I also, remember we said this on Friday, I also know I've got the patience to just keep designing it a little bit by little bit and then testing it. Obviously, the first couple I make will not do what they're meant to do, and that's life. Talking about learning, I wanted to talk about this on Friday, but I got carried away talking about Doug, and that's all right. It was well worth it. How many of you have Netflix? I learned something last week, and I can't believe I lived this long with Netflix and didn't know there was such a thing. Do you know that Netflix has special codes, and that you can get twice the amount of mileage out of your Netflix if you are aware of the codes? So, for example, let me just give you an example here. If you are, oops. You got too many things going on at the same time here. Hold on. Yeah. If you are into comedies, all right, did you know that you can just type in the code, you know, in the search bar in Netflix, you can just type in 6548, 6548, and then you'll be able to see that they've got even more codes under comedies. Do you want dark comedies, regular comedies, late night comedies, mockumentaries? Do you want political comedies? They've all got different numbers. And let's say you really like rom-coms, romantic comedies. 5475 is your number. Okay. And all you do is in the search bar, you just type up. Now, how many different codes are there? 6 pages. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Oh, more. Sorry, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 page, 12 pages. All right? And so tell me what you'd like me to check for you. What's your favorite thing to watch? Anybody? Save you having to print it out. By the way, if you like TV shows, it then has a multiple choice as to what sort of TV shows, right? So if you like Christmas movies, right, it's like, do you want British Christmas movies, Canadian ones, Christmas movies for children 11 to 12, or maybe children 5 to 7, children 8 to 10? It's got all those options where you can just literally type in these numbers. I think it's so clever. 80s sitcoms. All right, sitcoms. That would be TV shows. Hold on a second. Okay, so if you go TV shows, Jody, it's going to say British is one, classic TV shows, crime, cult, food and travel, kids, Korean, military miniseries, reality, science and nature, science fiction, TV action, TV comedies, TV documentaries, TV dramas, TV horror, TV mysteries. All right. So from there, you then hit that number and it'll give you a whole lot of other numbers again as to, keep. And then what you do is keep track of your number. Right, when you get down to sitcoms from the 80s, whatever, just keep that. It's pretty scary. But did you learn something today, people? And how many of you going, Netflix will never be the same? Why? Just the codes alone take 6 pages. Can you imagine how much material we don't see when we're looking through the what's available thing? All right. And to me, that's a really important piece of learning. That it's like, wow. Now, of course, I asked the question, does Acorn have the same thing? No, not that I've been able to find yet, because I'm still convinced that they must have it. So I'm still working on that one. All right. Going back to our subject, talking about learning, I wanted to share with you a story from one of our viewers. And the story is okay, I just wanted to get us another quote. Here's another quote. It says, life doesn't come with instructions. You may make mistakes, but you live and you learn. How many of you can imagine how many mistakes I made learning how to cut this and get it together? How many of you know how many bits of paper are in my trash bin? But not as many as there used to be, because guess what? Not only am I organizing my individual crafts that way. Wait, I got one here. Hang on a second. But I also am keeping my scraps like this. Why? Because scraps are used for when you're making another card at another time of the year. So I'm now throwing away way less, but I'm containing them the same way. Make sense? All right, but I wanted to tell the story. It's about Lauren, our viewer in Tasmania. And she wrote to Jody and myself, and so cute. She had found this really cute Chihuahua puppy called Oscar. And, she'd seen it, and there was a video of it playing and everything else. And she just totally fell in love with it. And the people that were selling it gave her all the instructions and told her that when you get the puppy, we will be sending its blankie with it so that it'll smell of its mom and all sorts of things that it was just delightful. And what would you like to call it? It was just amazing. And so she shelled out $600 and found out it was a scam. So be careful. Is my learning here. Be careful. And my first question, obviously, after I commiserated with her, because we've all been caught in scams, I'm sure. I got caught in one with hemp oil, I think, where what they said was, buy some, and it was about arthritis, that it would help arthritis. So, and what I found was that in the very fine print, and I only found this out when I realized I'd been scammed, and the very fine print, there was a thing that said, you will be repeating this order every month for the next 10 years or something, all right? And I didn't. I just wanted one bottle to try it. Boy, trying to get out of that contract was very difficult. Okay. Jeannie's saying about Lauren's story, oh no. And Jody's saying my heart broke. There's such a strong emotional component. And can you imagine how many people they have conned with that? How many people they have conned with that con? And so after, as I said, after, we commiserated with Lauren, go to the police, this was fraud. All right. And don't say I'm stupid and leave it. This is go to the police. This is fraud that you just got involved in. And if it's fraud, then it needs to be reported. Don't let them get away with it. And that's the problem, is most people just don't take the next step. And, the same thing as somebody threatened my life online here once. And I went to the police and reported it. And the person who threatened my life couldn't believe that I did that. And I said, why would I not do it? You threatened my life. I take that very seriously. And so does the police here in Canada. Did they give you a call by any chance? Why? Because we took a screenshot of it immediately. And I think Jody took the screenshot for me. I can't remember who it was. I think it was in your time, Jody, that you took the screenshot. And, I took the screenshot with my report and took it in and said, okay, here's the person. And they followed up. I'm pleased to tell you, they followed up and scared the living daylights out of that human, who then wrote to me twice as angry as she was before and said, how could you do that? And I said, how could you threaten somebody's life and not realize it was serious? I hope you've learned something today. Anyone who stops learning is old, whether at 20 or 80. Anyone who keeps learning stays young. Right? So think about that. The reason you stay young is trying to work out how to do that. Takes a lot of brain cells. If I'm using my brain cells to that degree, it is good for me. By the way, do you notice anything else in my craft room that is not to do with crafts? Anybody going, what's that? Anybody want to know what's underneath there? Or why that picture? Right? Because what I'm saying is, what I want you to learn is to be observant. All right? And I want you to share this with you, because part of relaxing is good memories. And this is I know it's hard to believe, but I once I once fitted into this model. I want you to see that shape, Jody. This was my model's dummy thing. But this obviously is a Canadian hockey shirt, but it's from the Olympics of 2010, the year that we won gold again, as usual. And what happened was I was so Canadian that I said, I want that hockey shirt. And it doesn't have my name on it, unfortunately, but it is special, right? And I thought it would be special long after I'd gone. Somebody's going to appreciate owning that one day. And then I've also got here, you can't see it, my other shirt. How many of you remember this one? I never did fit into this, but right, my Don Sember one. All right, so that was 2016 that we did that. And it does have my name on it, so you know it's very special. And why are these things important? Because this is where I go to relax, all right, and to think and to create. And so you can't see that side just as well, but you know, a lot more memorabilia is around me, all right? So things when I can look at it and go, gosh, I was clever enough to do that. And it inspires me to do something else. Anyone who keeps learning stays young. Yes, I do. I really do believe that. This is really important. Go explore. You know, I was talking to my friend Marnie yesterday, and she's just come back from an incredible trip. She went down. She's from Estonian heritage, and she went down for some Estonian get together in Seattle. And then after they did that, they went then all the way through to Yellowstone Park. I mean, hello. And then she and her mom went to the site of the Battle of the Bighorn. Little Bighorn. Little Bighorn? The Bighorn, right? But did the whole historical tour about what happened, but learned it from the side of the Native Americans, not from, you know, the normal side. She heard the other version. And you know, she was telling me all of this, and you know, then I remembered that Marnie had also talked to me at length about going to visit the beaches in Normandy. And I thought about it, and I said to her, how come such a peace-loving person, because that is what she is, how can such a peace-loving person be so interested in battle? It was the Battle of the Little Bighorn. Thank you, Jody. I thought my mind was playing tricks with me. And that's what it told me, was it was the Little Bighorn. I'm going, why would they call it the Little Big? Where was the Big Bighorn? You know, I mean, was there one? Was there a Battle of the Big Bighorn? Check it out for me, Jody. Jody. So, you know, I'd listen and I was thinking this, and I thought, you know, Marnie does such interesting things when she's on vacation, and she loves studying history of any sort, of anything. And it turned out that the reason she loves, you know, got involved in reading about and going and visiting battle sites was because her father was in the military, her grandfather was in the military, right? So she had this background. Her mother is deeply interested in Native American or Native Canadian history. And so, you know, it's all about really interesting stuff to her. And so she's never short of somewhere to go on vacation, but she doesn't go for the reasons everybody else does. She goes the other route. She wants to hear it from the other side. Make sense? Because she's read a lot about the side that we all learn in our history books. But what did the other people say, right? I thought that was really interesting. The wrong people always teach you the right life lessons. How many of you have learned some of your best life lessons because somebody betrayed you or somebody did something terrible? But it was, like Lauren. When I checked out with Lauren, what had she done to try and protect herself? Quite honestly, she had done most of the right things. Am I right, Jody? She had, done a lot of the right things. And to make sure she wasn't being catfished. But bottom line was she still was. Right, Jody's going back. The Indian name of the Bighorn River into which the Little Bighorn empties. Ah. All right, it's called Potage. Potage, or Mountain Sheep River. How about that? I didn't know it was the name of didn't know that the Little Bighorn was a tributary of the Bighorn River. Well, there you are. Did I learn something today? Thank you. See, that's why I love doing the broadcast. I always learn something. Did anybody else not know that, or was it just me? So, we don't always, I think this is a good quote for us all to remember. We don't always have to agree with one another. But it's important that we learn to respect one another. All right. And, again, to me, it is really important at this time as we go into the next big political mishmash down in the States in a little while. It's really important for us to remember to listen to the other side. Make sure you're not just listening to your side of the story. Make sure you hear it from people who are deeply invested on the other side. I can always remember once talking to one viewer, and it was about, oh yes, emission control. The emission control that they're trying to reduce greenhouse gases. And I had one viewer that was strongly against it. And I'm a great believer. Everybody has a good reason for believing what they believe. That the trick is to listen to them enough to find out what it is. So I said, tell me more. And she said, what? I said, tell me why. You have a reason why you think emission control is bad. And I want to know, please. And it turned out, see, this is where it gets really interesting to me. It turned out that her husband worked on one of the construction lines of the Mack truck assembly line. And the one line that was closed because of emission control, they knew they'd never be able to reach it on that particular model. They closed that whole line down, and guess who was one of the people on that line? Her husband. When you hear that, you can understand why she's a bit pissed off with climate, emission control, right? Makes sense. Doesn't mean anything other than it directly affected her. Directly affected her. And you probably heard that Mitch McConnell, for example, recently agreed to the fact that Sweden and Norway should be part of the NATO alliance. NATO or... Yeah. Now, that's pretty big stuff. All right. Where he came out and said, yes, we need to okay this. Giving better protection for not only Norway and Sweden, but also remembering that Estonia, Marnie's heritage, is sitting right up in that area. Although it's a NATO member, it doesn't have the ability to be able to protect itself well enough, right? But now we've got Norway and Sweden that could pop in there quickly and go help if necessary. So you look at it all, and it's fascinating if you look at the history, right? If you look at the history of it, or if you listen to the other person. And so I just want you to remember to hear both sides of the story wherever you can. I'm learning every day to allow the space between where I am and where I want to be to inspire me and not to terrify me. right? So if I thought about, I'm going to rip this all apart and organize it in a way that makes sense to me, do you understand? That's a lot of work. Why would I do that all at one time? But you can probably see that my next step will probably be to take down those two cubies there. All right. I probably will leave that lot, even though it's not to do with making cards. I probably will leave that because it sort of fills up that space nicely. But those will probably come down. What have I got in there? Cork, magnets, and mem tags. What the are mem tags? I know. You want to know? I want to know. Oh, oh. I know what mem tags are now. You want to know? How about, it happens to have the whole of the royal wedding, 6.5 hours of it. It has my Ryla hat in it. I was talking about Ryla this week. It has, tags like this. That's what mem tag is. It's one of these. Hi there, Christy. Good to see you. All right. What else has it got? All sorts of things. I was a gold panel member at the telethon, the charity thing back in 1992, apparently. Now, I've got a lot of these elsewhere, hanging elsewhere. Where are they? My John Sember ones. But these are obviously this is 1991. I was a keynote speaker, apparently, at the Yukon Women's Entrepreneurial Conference in Whitehorse in the Yukon. So how many of you know I don't want to throw these away? They do absolutely no good. Apparently, I was part of an organization called Funny Business because I was a comic, right? How about the Valve Manufacturers Association? Anyway, some of the people the BC Pharmacy Conference of 1991 had a dinner dance. I was obviously quite busy in 1991. And more. Anyway, there are lots of them. How many of you can understand it? They're not something you can replace. And, just for the joy, you probably saw in my face when I realized what it was. I was amazed that this lot survived the fire because they were in a vulnerable place and they managed to save them all. I was very happy. And the magnets and cork and stuff. More containment ideas. How many of you can imagine how much where are they gone? Oh, they're right over there. Every now and then I will make a set of magnets for people's fridge, right? If they've actually, Dougie needs a set for his new home. So I will probably make a set of magnets for him. So but look how I contain all the magnets and the things that happen with them. You know what this is? And in here I have buttons and pendants. So it's similar stuff. I turn my artwork into buttons for some people. These are all sorts of, I make, turn my artwork into easier to show you rather than talk about it. I turn them into necklaces for people. I've got to get those back where they were. So this is all about that sort of stuff. Right? Here's another button. So that, right? I've forgotten I had these. Right? But how do you like the way they're all contained? So now in this one, all contained in a Folgers thing, I have got the special hole punch that I use to get the right size, more of the bits for it. Here are some things I've already cut, the right glue to use with it, or another hole punch, and then lots of the glass things that go on top, right? So all those little bits that are to do with that are all in one place contained, and the containers are in another container. So literally all that stuff, if I had it loose, can you imagine what it would look like? And yet all that's in there are 2 coffee tins. Good idea? Nice and simple. For those of you who buy fruit, think about not throwing these away. Why? I've been, those are, I had a cutting out snowflake day the other day. All right. I'm going to be using those on some cards. But I've also got the little stickers that I will need for them with them, so that when I'm ready to do that, I've got all the bits together. And then, I've got some of the little... That was not a good idea. All right, I will put the rest of this in afterwards. But, I've got little labels that I put in with certain things. So they're also contained. It's going to drive me insane. I need to pick them up. And it's funny, whenever I try and pick things up from the floor, which is difficult for me, I remember a friend of mine who had a helper dog. And I think one of the most incredible things to watch was a dog learning how to pick up a credit card off the floor, because they don't have fingernails, right? Really interesting. Christy's saying that's a good idea. Which one? I'm going to try that with Sophia. Wait a minute. This goes, you see, I know where this goes. It goes into that box called cork, right? So I thought I'd show you that I've got all sorts of different ways of, over here, can you see right there? I've got just about every sort of hole punch you can imagine. A regular one. The backup regular one. This was a very fancy daytimer thing I had. But all my hole punches are sitting together like that. All right. In these little containers here, I've got, when I unpacked, I found out I had 1,001 rolls of invisible tape, right? Or rather, removable tape. I have got, I didn't know it, but I have 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, nearly 20 rolls of the stuff. You see, when you start unpacking seriously and getting everything in its place, you find out you got way more than you thought you had. In here are all my postage things. In here are the different blades for my cutting. Oh, you can't see that far. Sorry, people. Duh. Oh, these are obviously my cutting mats. I've got a long cutting mat and then a series of short ones. And then I've got all these little things, postage. These are plastic things. In here, I've got special glue. And here, Post-it notes, another thing I've got way too many of. So I'm trying as I go along to get everything contained. Get that back where it belongs. But I was thinking, and I don't know about you guys, but if I had these bins, you know, where I could just hang one card in here and know that all the Dear cards are in this bin. Does that make sense? Oh, talking about that, do you like the 3 little frames I've got on there with the turquoise patterns in them? It was really interesting. I did a bit of art one time, and I was playing with a manipulation program, and I turned the pink into turquoise. And then what I did was I just took little 1-inch segments and turned them into photographs, and then I framed the photographs. There are another 3 somewhere. I'm not quite sure where they are, but you know, amazing what you can do if you want to. And the same thing, you know, you probably can't see it here, but these are some of the plain cards. Not plain, nothing plain about my cards, but these are some of the plain cards that I've done. And I was thinking it made an awful lot of sense, right, with the matching envelope, but made a lot of sense to just have it like this so I know that's where those sort of cards are. And that's what inspired me, that I could just have each of those cubies with a product in it. Make sense? Now, what else can you see that I haven't explained? The painting. Why the painting? Oh, and the lights. Did you see the lights? Hold on. I've got to turn those on for you. So, turn that off. Now you can't see the painting as well. That's interesting. All right, so I gotta turn that off again. I can't explain it while it's glaring like that. What I do want you to know, though, where are you? Hello. You can't see it. Okay. We'll do that next week. I'll show you next week. But underneath the lights and behind all this crud and these cubies behind there, going all the length of here, is my freezer. And if I can show you. All right. That room you can see there is my laundry room. So I have this huge freezer, worktop. I do a lot of my gluing of these. In other words, I will, you know, make them and then put cardboard down on the freezer and spray them and then put them together. All right. I want to tell you, my freezer works triple time. It's amazing. I keep cardboard between that wall where the light is. You can probably see the top of a little bit of cardboard there. So whenever I want to do anything messy on that freezer, I just pull out some Amazon cardboard that's specially there to do that. The picture, I find the most soothing picture to look at. I see it every morning as I leave my bedroom. And all I get is a picture in my mind of the guy on Walkabout, right, in Namibia. And I love the coloring of it. I love the feeling of it. Every morning I look at it and I smile. I just realized what else I've got here. Hold on a second. One of the other things that I found were some of the promo stuff of things that I used to do. All right. And what I never did was throw it away. Come on. And I didn't want to throw it away. Oh, it's worse. Okay. Because, it was really good paper, and I thought one day I'll find a use for it. And guess what? It's very useful when you're messing around with glue and stuff like that. So what else can you see? Get well card. Yeah. The mess here. I didn't realize you're going to be seeing that quite as much. But you understand how what is happening is, as I have a need, I am creating the organization to go with it. And I think the important thing was to see, this is the card, 17 different components to it. And just cutting it out is a logistical nightmare. All right. Because you got to think about, only these bits are blue, and only these bits are white, and only these bits are red. And, you got to manipulate it all and try and get as best use of your color choices as you can. But can you understand that it takes such patience? Oh, Christy's saying she loves the cards. Very nice. Thank you, Christy. You know something? They are definitely a labor of love, but I am finding that it's really helping get me back into a different mindset. All right. And the same thing with this little thing. All right. You can probably imagine it's got, hang on, let's think, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 12. 21 different bits to it to create that. 21 different bits. Now, and they're all different colors, different sizes, different shapes. But the thing is, can you see that it's really important to me? All right, it's really important. I asked myself the other day when I was talking to Doug, why aren't I just doing easy cards? All right. And Doug just looked at me and said, because they wouldn't be unique, and you love doing things that are really unusual. And I said, yeah. But can you imagine for a second what it took to learn to put one of those cards together? The very first one I cut. And this is the whole thing. And Christy's saying, wow, I want to be a crafty mom like that. Well, I want to tell you, it is hugely time consuming. Hugely time consuming. Oh, do you see the little lamb up there? It's actually a little dog toy that Yvonne bought for me after Bud Bina died. All right. Actually, Christy knows where they are, Jody, but thank you for putting that up. Yeah, if anybody's interested in the cards, they are DearMamaSal.com. She knows because Matthew is the person who's her husband, the person that's been helping me with the website. Oh, there's another thing. All right. Can you imagine the nightmare of trying to get the website going again? It's horrible. And now I found out I put a program onto the website when really I needed another one. So, you didn't know. You learn something every day, Jody. Hi, Christy. Christy, this is Jody. Jody is our admin. Christy is in Sacramento. I can tell you that. And every time they have those, how's that fire doing down there, Christy? I was so worried about it when I wrote to Matthew and I didn't think I got an answer, but I was so worried about whether it was in your neck of the woods. But the main thing I wanted to say is, what is it that you have seen here that will help you in your life? All right. In other words, do you understand how useful Kleenex boxes can be? If you are a crafty person, or as you have seen in my kitchen, I use my Kleenex boxes in my drawers in the kitchen to contain things like plastic bags and, the crud, right? I have different little Kleenex boxes in a row, and it just keeps everything contained. So don't throw them away, use them. And as you saw, if you want to be color coordinated, paint them. All right. And how did I do all the labels? I have a little label machine, or use your printer. Many people forget most people have got a printer. You don't need to have a fancy cutting machine like mine. And I haven't done these on my fancy cutting machine. Those labels up on the boxes, because I did those before I got the cutting machine working, done with a regular piece of paper and what they call a jewel line, I think. Yeah, a jewel line lettering pen. Okay. Can you see how it does two colors at once? Oh, recycle, page a day diary. I use the back of it. I put those next to anywhere I need notes. I take my page a day diaries, turn them upside down, and now I've got a notepad. Reuse, recycle. Okay. All right. So Christy's saying, just got a labeler. Sophia wanted to label her brother with his name. Yeah, exactly. And again, how many, can you make your own labels? Right? You can, I do mine on my machine, but you can do, put labels like this and tie them onto things for her, I think it's amazing what you can do with scrap paper. And, teach her to reuse things is a great lesson. I think, when you have a child learning about labeling things, you're teaching them so many things, right? You're teaching them about putting things in the right place. You're teaching them organization, obviously. You're teaching them about everything has a place, and there's a place for everything. And let's put a label so you know where it is. I literally taught my dogs to put their toys away. All right, so Jeannie's saying, great to see how you organize. Well, I suddenly thought that some of you probably would appreciate it. And by the way, what I want you also to see is that we started this with the topic of that I was dealing with spring cleaning. And let's get that back, all right, which is, right, that's what was on there, up at the top there, was all that stuff, all those baskets and things. And I think that looks a whole lot better, don't you? But I couldn't have done it unless I took everything off there, right? And that's the trick. Take one level, take everything off it, and decide what do you want to put back. If you started all over again, at the time it made sense to put all the baskets and things up there. All right, Christy's saying, I'm an organizational freak. It annoys the family. Everything has to be in its place and it needs to be put back when they're done. Yes, it's a great skill to teach your children. All right. And I wasn't taught that, Christy. I wasn't taught that at all. And I've struggled my whole life with not wanting people in my house because I'd have to tidy up first. And now I'm learning that, that's what it was about. I didn't want people in my house without at least a week's warning because I needed to tidy up first. And I'm trying to learn before I leave this room to put it all back where it was meant to be, which you can imagine is pretty messy right now because I've been pulling things out for you. But like, put it away before you leave the room. Then you won't worry if somebody pops in and wants to have a look at it. And by the way, I like having the stuff on display. All right. And I want more of that. I want it to look really pretty up there. So why is being in this room good for my stress level? That's the thing I want to just finish with. Think about that. Have I got memories in here that make me smile? Yes. I got more on the other side. Have I got quiet in here? There is no television in here. And that's the one thing I would have liked to have had, but I don't have. So then I said, okay, if it makes sense for me to do the gluing while I'm watching television, then it also makes sense that when I go to do that, I take my box of things to be glued. Oh, I've been looking for that. I wondered where that was. Take stuff that needs to be glued and take it with me for when I binge watch. And then it leaves the television area and comes back into the craft room ready for tomorrow. I've also found out, for example, that cutting Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and then the rest of the week, I assemble the things that I've cut. I am trying to get disciplined about that. I'm trying to learn. I can't fix all the problems on the website at one time. It costs money that I don't have. So therefore, what's the next most important step? All right, that's part of the organization. What is the next most important step? When I do the assembly of the cards, all right, where are my things I'm working on? Here. All right. Again, the back of Page a Day Diaries, I'm writing what is the next step or the next 3 steps that need to happen with this package. All right. So all the time, it's one step at a time. All right. So Jeannie's saying from her visitation to my Confetti Corner, says this room makes you happy. It has memorabilia, organized boxes, things ready to use. Yes. Christy's saying, I'm trying to learn to let it be and be messy and still being put up. Sawyer is on the move now. Yes, his son. And I don't want him to get into things, but still let Sophia play and have her stuff. Yes, very important for Sophia now because she's at an age, yeah, she's going on 20 now, right? Yeah, what is she? 8? How old is she now? I always thought she was way ahead of her years. When I saw that first picture of her, I went, she's 7. Okay, I wasn't, yeah, going on 17. You understand why I said she's going on 20 now, right? But the whole thing, I find, by the way, we're talking to Benji yesterday as well. And we decided I'm going to go down for a trip and go visit. It'll probably be the end of September, around about then. But I said to him, do you realize you've got 2 children I've never seen? And he knows that I'm a little bit hesitant about going there. And whether Mickey, my car, will make it there. And he even offered to come and get me, if you can believe it. Drive all the way up, get me, go all the way back, and then 3 days later drive me back again. That's the sort of guy he is. Quite amazing. But I know it sounds strange, but you do know that when I go down there, I spend an awful lot of time playing with the children. I never had children. And therefore, well, other than the ones that that adopted me, but I never had children and watched them grow up. And so with tears in my eyes, when I go down there, I love having the children teach me things. All right. I want to see, I know Juliana and I have always had a very strong connection over anything that's creative, right? She loves me because I'm creative. That's her thing. She knows that I do things that are fun in that way. And I always try to, whenever I buy her a present, I try to buy her something that, it furthers her creativity in that way. But, what I find is that I will give certain time to each of the children and say to them, all right, what do you want to teach me? What have you been doing that's really great fun that you can teach me? And I have them teach me what is fun for them. Because to me, it's lovely to give them that control. All right. And I, me, I just love it. How many of you remember that visit I did where I had them teach me how to make a gingerbread house? And the first lesson I had to learn was I wasn't allowed to lick my fingers. And I'm going, what? No, you're not allowed to lick your fingers, Mama Sal. What do you mean I'm not allowed to lick my fingers? It got icing on it. No, you're not allowed to lick your fingers. And I'm going, what? That's what the face cloth is for. You have to wipe your fingers, Mama Sal. No. No. And I'm looking at Mummy going, seriously? I don't like this game. And then how many of you remember the time where I was having a meal with them and I went to do a high five with Mia? And Mia said, I can't touch you. I went, what? No, I can't touch you. And I knew there was more to the story that I didn't understand. And I was heartbroken that she wasn't allowed to touch me, but I didn't understand why. So I said, why not, Mia? She said, I've been eating these. Eating these what? Eating these crackers, Mama Sal. So why can't you touch me? They've got garlic on them. How old was she? 4? How old was she? I think not more than 4 or 5 at the time. I cried. I'm certain it brings tears to your eyes as well. I just said, I don't know how to tell you what it feels like to be that loved and that you care that much about me. Thank you. And it was just like, it was, yeah, it's enough to tear up over, isn't it? So, I mean, to me, I love to go down because they teach me great lessons and stuff. And now I've got 2 new screaming monsters. I haven't obviously met Leah and Isabella. I mean, I've seen them, and but I haven't met them. I haven't had that opportunity to hold Bella and have her scream her lungs out. As I always remember Juliana, the first time I touched Juliana, you would think that I was a monster. Yeah, that's what Christy's saying. It's always fun to spend time with them and learn new things. I spend a lot of the time on the floor with them because getting up and down is difficult, so I stay down. And then I get them to bring me things, right? Then I go and read to them, the bedtime stories. Well, apparently they're only allowed one. Well, I go, excuse me, the rules change when I come. you know, because I want to read more, you can listen more. No, we're only allowed one, Mama Sal. Shush. So Christy's saying, Sophia shows my grandma, who is 92, new things and how to use her phone and reads to her. You see, that is to me the thing I missed out on, right? And luckily, both Benji and Judy understand that. I never got to do that stuff, all right? And so they humor me a lot. And I apologize every time for reading 4 stories instead of 1. But I say, you do know it's for my benefit, not theirs. I'm trying to make up on stuff here. And so, it's important. But what I'm trying to say is that, I want them to enjoy their creativity. I always, whenever I buy presents for the girls, I always buy, I check with Judy first what they're into this year. And then she and I collaborate as to what, would be fun for them. And then, we got this whole system that we work out. So many fun memories, yes. Memories I would never have had if I hadn't met Benji and Judy. Or Benji and then Judy, obviously, when that happened. But, it's like what I'm most grateful for is not that they just love me, that they love the fact that I had never had that opportunity in my life. And, in the meal times, we do the stupidest things, right? All the things my mother wouldn't let me do. So, to me, it's like, it's really important. And so I'm actually really looking forward to it, and obviously quite emotional about it as well. All right, there we go. So I hope you enjoyed your visit to Confetti Corner. And if any of you, would like to see me actually create a card, let me know, and I'll do a broadcast where I will take an easier one. It won't be the three wise men. I, will take an easier one and just do it sort of almost start to finish for you so you can see. Oh, I did need your opinion before I go. I got new glitter in, and there's more coming this week. Wait a minute. Where's the other one? Okay. So here we go. What do you think about that green? Can you see that color properly? For the woodland deer. All right. And then I thought, right, and you know what? I actually just cut one of these out so I could check. This is the red. It's a very different red, but I thought that was beautiful as well. Let me know what your favorite is, okay? This would be the gold or the silver. By the way, high quality glitter. It actually doesn't fall onto you. What about the rose pink? Okay. And even, funnily enough, the black is stunning. Yeah, it's interesting. Chills, the pink for sure. Thank you. That's what I thought. I would never have thought of, but that pink glitter is just so cute, isn't it? So I got more colors coming next week, or this coming week. So I wanted to show you that. But you understand, all of it is about more and more cost. So your favorite is this silver and then the pink. Okay, good to know, Jody. Yeah, the rose gold. It's funny, isn't it, that you guys like that as well? I saw that and I went, oh my gosh. Oh my gosh, look at that. Yeah, and I'm going, that's definitely, do it that way, it makes it easier. That's definitely going to be a keeper. But then, of course, you see, and this is what happens when you're in creative mood, what will the three wise men look like with a shiny background? It's amazing, isn't it, when you start looking at it and think. Let me know. No, I don't like the green for them. I like the red. What about pink? Goes with everything. Yeah, it's funny, isn't it? So, and it's good to know because I think, how many sheets have I got of each? Only a couple. I think 5. Not many anyway. But it'll be interesting to see. And what I'm going to do with people who ordered the glitter, I will show them what colors I got available and just ask them, which ones would you like? So, and make it more personal that way. All right, there we go. So that's fun. I've got so much more to show you in here, but oh, feedback. The muffins that we made on Friday, remember the healthy muffins? Gone. Oh, they have gone. They were that tasty. And you remember we made the turkey the week before? Every one of those meals. You remember we made those zucchini boats with more vegetables and stuff in them? I want to tell you that I froze those big zucchini boats, a couple of them, and I had them last night, and they were wonderful. I just warmed them up, and they were wonderful. And so, you know, interesting experiments, and I'm glad. Normally I wouldn't eat zucchini that way, but there you go. So thank you all for being here. I hope you enjoyed the memories. I hope you can understand why it's important for me. By the way, the Dear Mama Sal mug is there. Oh, and so it's like, I don't know. It's like a memory place for me. All right, so we'll see you again. I'm glad. Let me know. Give it a thumbs up if you enjoyed the broadcast. And what was your favorite bit before you go? What was your favorite bit? Why are you glad that I showed you the room? Just so I know what you appreciate, so I can give you more. Think about it. So, right, the tissue boxes, how I turn the Kleenex boxes into something useful. Yes. Remember, whenever you can, contain the crud. All right, if you can contain it. Same thing, you saw how I can contain one card, with all the little bits that need to go in it into one container. Keeps it under control. Yes, the coffee tins, all right? Think about, by the way, you know what I also use my coffee tins for? Garbage bins. When you take the outside wrapper out of the coffee tin, it nearly always is silver underneath it, all right? And I use mine in all my rooms. I've got little mini garbage bins. Another good thing. Jody, tips, please add that. All right, so reuse, recycle, but make it work for you. All right, don't do it just for the sake of it. Have a look at, whatever shelf it is you're looking at and go, how do I contain this in a pretty way? Christy's saying it was all fun to see, all the memories and the different ways to keep and store things, make things around the house useful again. Yes, and that's what my whole goal is. How many of you enjoyed seeing the tomatoes? And I've spent 2 years trying to learn how to do that one. And that is just the first of many plants that are on the way. And I will be interested to see. I think I've probably got enough now going that that should keep me in tomatoes for the rest of the season. But the question is, how long can I keep them going? Can I keep them going inside during the winter? I already know where I'm going to put them. The sunniest room in the house turns out to be my studio, my back room, the unpacking room. When I say it's the sunniest one, it's the one that gets a lot of sun. And we know that the greenhouse window obviously needs to do its work. So we're going to have a lot of fun growing stuff this winter. And we'll probably kill a lot of stuff. By the way, those beautiful lettuces that you all enjoyed. Very sad to tell you, the heat in the house went up above 80 and it killed them. I was very sad, but now I start again. You have to remember that lettuce does not like heat. And it just literally, it just killed them. It was really sad. All right, everybody, have a wonderful week. Understand that being creative is more than just being creative. Being creative requires that you problem solve. Being creative requires that you stay organized. Being creative requires that you make a mess. The kid in you will love that. And then it also requires that you do the one thing that we're all very bad about doing, which is to look at your space and say, is it just useful for other people to see, or is it useful to me? In other words, do I have to have these cubies here, or can I put these in the unit that you can't see, which has got a couple of spaces in it, and then make this more useful for what I want it to do? Makes sense? That's all the time. And that way, every time I take one of those down, the goal is to halve it and make it twice as useful as it was before by adding two of those bins into one. And, it's a long process if you are not naturally a tidy person, but I'm learning bit by bit. This is Dear Mama Sal saying, we'll visit the Confetti Corner again, and I will keep updating you with things that I've learned along the way. This is Dear Mama Sal saying, thank you so much for being here. Oh, you had so much fun. I'm glad to hear it. Come back and visit us again. How did you find us, Jules? I always love to know how people find us. But what I'm hoping you can see, this isn't just about a creative room. This is about look at your kitchen and go, how can I contain things better in the kitchen? Right? How deep is your drawer and you only use half of it? How do you make it more useful? Put the stuff you don't use very much at the bottom and put the stuff you use, again, use containers. Think about all these things. You will end up with much more space and much better organized. And that is the whole trick. Right, this is Dear Mama Sal saying, we will see you. Your videos just popped up and I thought, they were so interesting. I'm so happy I found you. Well, we're so happy you come back, won't you, Chills? We're on 3 times a week. Just, if ever you don't know when we're on, which country are you in, Chills? Boom, 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 boom. The reason I just want to know the country is because then I can tell you roughly what time we are on. Obviously, 3:30 Pacific time every Sunday, where we talk about coping with stress. Yeah, we know where you are, Jenny. And Jody is in New Hampshire, and Jeannie is in Maine. We got people from all over here. Don't go. That's cute. Louisiana. Wow. Okay, so that's central, or is that still central there? Or is it Eastern time? I'm never quite sure about that. Yeah, I made a guess. That's good. Central. Okay, so it got a pen there, Chills. I broadcast on a Friday. Hmm, you're ahead of me. 11 o'clock your time, a.m. With coping with feelings, where we talk about feelings and the feelings I've had that week, and everything else. Then on Friday evening at you're ahead of me, so we do it at 7. So that would be 6 o'clock your time, I think. At 6 o'clock your time, we do a broadcast, Coping with Life, where I'm cooking live all sorts of things with leftovers, right? And we do the unbelievable broadcasts, and we do it all live. And I rarely measure stuff. We just tuck things in and see how it turns out. And we did healthy muffins this week. And I want to tell you something. I'm quite amazed that there's not one left. And I really thoroughly enjoyed it. And then, of course, we do this coping with stress. So I believe that staying creative keeps my brain working. Being creative helps my stress management. By the way, one thing I didn't mention, and I need to, I'm sitting on my ball chair. All right. And all the time, I want you to watch this. I turn to use the printer, but I don't have to move the chair too much because I can just turn core. I'm keeping upright, keeping balanced, and grabbing for something from the printer. I'm then feeding the cutting machine. I'm stretching, using those muscles. I then turn around and I do some weeding of stuff over here, all the time balancing on my ball chair. What muscles am I using? And all the time, I've got my feet flat on the floor to give me stability. And so, what I want you to think about is this is multitasking with a whole different reason. All right. Everything I do to stay balanced on a ball chair while I'm working requires that I use my core. Think about that. Bend, stretch, all this stuff. But all the time, I'm staying balanced on a ball chair. Yeah, Jody's saying you're using so many muscles. For anybody that wants to imagine it, do that. And I really recommend have at least one ball chair in your house, because even if you're sitting, all right, you can be, and I find I literally rock, all right? As you saw me do, and that's why I thought I should mention it. Quite often when I'm waiting for something to print and I actually, find I do things like I roll and I rock and I do all these things just to keep my back and my spine. I lean forward, and it's got you can't see it, but it's got a back to it. I can lean against it if I want to. It's like really good exercise. Bye-bye for now. We'll see you next week. This is DearMamaSal saying thank you so much for being here. Hope you learned something. Hope I gave you at least one tip that is useful to your life. And if it is, please give it a thumbs up. We'll see you on Friday. Thank you, Jody, for being our admin. We love you. Bye-bye for now.